Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. I'm Will Dragon, and this is Suzerain. We are the president of Swordland, and we're panicking. There's lots of things going on. Revolters take over Cultural Center, declare HQ. An estimated 6,000 revolters have taken over the massive Benfey Cultural Center complex and declare it the headquarters of the revolution. Dozens of citizens were injured in the chaotic event where the police tried to rescue hostages near the center. A massive riot police formation is surrounding the center as of now, but they are overwhelmed in numbers. Meanwhile, a large group of nearly 10,000 rioters have begun taking over the port, and engagements between the police and the civilians are ongoing. The 3rd Armored Division's military outpost was surrounded by nearly 10,000 rioters for 2 days. The local commander reported a potential to be overwhelmed as a unit. The situation escalated when the colonel of the division ordered battle formations and attacked the rioters with tanks and APCs, which resulted in 310 killed and 1,321 wounded. Many tanks of the column rolled through the protesters. When first aid and medical teams arrived to save lives, the colonel forbade them to treat the rioters as they were branded enemies of the state. The division has since suppressed or killed all dissenting voices in Estord and taken over the city. The situation is tense, but secure. Well, that sounds horrible. The Blue Mansion was taken over by violent protesters that overwhelmed city servants, civil servants, and state staff. Many were beaten and the property was heavily damaged. The massive protests also took over City Hall and vandalized government property. Riot police tried to disperse the crowds, which resulted in a massive clash with hundreds of wounded people. Fires burned and smoke billowed into the night. Okay, we have revolution. Full-blown revolution. Universal Minority Rights Convention. A forward-thinking initiative aimed at protecting the rights of minority groups within and outside the borders of the CSP nations. The convention signifies a notable shift in the Alliance's human rights mandate, emphasizing principles of equal opportunity, social justice, and inclusivity. The Oto's announcement on the development and operational deployment of the first long-range bombers has marked a significant milestone in its military capabilities. The state-of-the-art aircraft, designed with advanced radar-evading technology, now extend ATO strike reach from western Makopa to eastern Makopa, northern Xena, and eastern Anrakan archipelago. This strategic advantage not only underlines ATO's robust defensive posture, but solidifies the Alliance's air power projection, standing as a testament to its advanced aerial warfare capabilities. Back inside the country, hundreds of rioters descended upon the natural gas facilities of Gassam in a bid to take over the private property. 3,000 strong group. Death of 18 and 4 policemen. Rioters have looted the gold and jewelry found in the ancient caves underneath Ribery while engaging with the police forces. Some suspects were caught, but the police units suffered heavy casualties when the rioters used a bulldozer to run over a police formation. 14 police officers were heavily injured and hospitalized. Arch Sanctuary roof arson by vandals. Hundreds of vandals attacked the Arch Sanctuary and set fire to the roof of the Arch Sanctuary. The Firefighting Department and local police immediately intervened to prevent further damage to the building while fending off the vandals that injured the firefighters. The police units found themselves surrounded and barricaded themselves in the Arch Sanctuary with the Archpriest. A reinforcement police contingency broke through the mass revolt and saved the surrounded security units. Several armed rioters shot at police officers while armed vehicles gunned down violent and armed rioters. The situation is escalating. Armed revolters have disguised themselves as construction workers and attacked several police officers with weapons that led to several deaths in broad daylight. Connections. There is a new... There you go. Mikhail Avon. I think that's the only one. News reports. Red Youth and Young Swords fight. This year was the vandalism of a soul statue in Lakavan. Yesterday, according to the Young Swords member who wishes to stay anonymous, said that he has seen Red Youth members put a clown wig and nose on the soul statue at the city centre. Young Swords oppress Bluedish protesters. Bernard Circus has fought for this country for the rights of every sword. In return, he got a bullet from his nationalistic group. Right now, the same group is beating and chasing away peaceful Bluedish protesters only because they are not originally sword. What is... You've got something else? No, it just hadn't ticked off, that was all. Okay, so the country. Briefing on the current economic situation, which is terrible. And the country is falling apart. So I arrived at the Ministry of Economy and proceeded upstairs. I opened the door and entered the largest boardroom in the building. Simon was sitting alone with a glass of water and his documents laid out before him. He stood up when I entered and approached me. After a quick handshake, I took my seat. Good afternoon, Mr. President. Good afternoon. A knock was heard on the door and Nushin entered the room. My most sincere apologies, I was attending to other matters. You start yet? Mr. Vice President. No, not yet. Now that everyone is here, let's begin. As you all know, we're here to review the economic progress we've made over the past term and decide how to proceed. I will brief you quickly on what we have done so far, just as a refresher. Let's find out. He produced 2 booklets and handed them to us. Our extra focus on the economy has resulted in some small-scale positive growth. The extra resources have been a boon to my industry. It would be great if we followed up on this focus during our next term. Let's take a deep dive into the details now. Please turn to page 5. Let's start off with our economy plan. I would like to say we are on track, but unfortunately I cannot. Our decisions so far have not been in line with our initial intention for a market economy. We have been largely inconsistent and our economy has taken a hit because of it. Price we do pay for doing the right thing. There is nothing wrong with a change in plans as long as the public views it as intentional and not a hasty improvisation. Let's move on with the report. Please turn to page 16. I'm happy to say that our trade has increased since the beginning of our term. We are on the right path. More trade means a more vibrant economy, which means unbridled economic development. In our attempt to repair Swordsland's economic system, we went for a mixed approach. We tried to cater to the needs of both business and Swordish citizens. It's been a delicate balance. Thankfully, living standards are steadily increasing. We've been receiving fewer and fewer complaints about our welfare systems. Satisfied populace means more votes for the incumbent administration. Some of our industries have also been knocked down to their knees by our recent taxations. The demand for these goods has decreased drastically, which led to businesses in these industries being shut down. Some people are calling the government out for infringing on their personal liberty. Apparently, some even filed lawsuits saying the taxes violate their human dignity. Their lawyers argued for them that they need it for mental health treatment. Our production rate has gone down since the beginning of the term. We're at a low point right now. I need everyone on this next term. As you wish, sir. I'll note that down. Moving on to logistics. We have an infrastructure problem and the economy won't flourish unless we solve it. We need to make new roads and improve the existing ones. People and businesses alike have been complaining. Smoother commutes, easier access, and faster delivery times would help everyone out. We are very close to the end. I want to talk about a few numbers. Please turn to page 57. Our inflation rate is currently at a staggering 49%, way up from 10%. It might be the highest in Swordsland's history. The Swordish Ren has been wildly fluctuating as a result, and consumer prices have gone up, which means that Swordish citizens are angry at the government. Rightly so, we need to take responsibility. Mr. President, do you have any questions so far? How are we doing with unemployment? Remains steady at 16%. Stagnation is mostly due to the lack of investments and average economic planning. Well, the latest numbers on our GDP is at 141 billion SR, a major decrease from our 310 billion SR we had at the beginning of our term. As per the latest stats, the economy shrank 18% in the last 4 years on average. We are suffering from a decreased economical capacity. What is our debt situation? Terrible! Up from 427 at the beginning of our term. This debt is due to government borrowing and the interest on our previous debts. As a result, our government's budget has decreased substantially. Due to our reckless spending in the first term, I am sorry to say that we have entered a debt crisis. According to my calculation, we won't be able to pay up our government debt without the assistance of a third party. It has even disrupted fundings to our welfare plans. Some construction projects and programs need to be put on hold because of that. I want to quickly highlight our budget expenditure. My numbers indicate that overall we have been generously spending our government budget. Money that's not spent is just pieces of paper, so that's good for us. Now, going into the elections and hopefully a second term, we need to decide on the way forward. We need a bigger budget. We shouldn't start our next term with a budget deficit. What should we do, Mr. President? Any ideas? We'll take on an international loan from MIF. This will pose quite a risk to the reputation of our administration, but it can be done. Now that's out the way. During our first term, we faced many challenges in the midst of a recession. We have worked hard to fight against the odds, but it was not enough. Violent arrests are still happening across the country. The tensions chased away potential investments that would have created more jobs and boosted our economy. Mr. President, you may have surmised from the numbers I have given you that the economy has worsened considerably over the course of our administration. I wanted to prepare you for the truth. This is no longer a mere recession. We've entered into a period that historians might reasonably refer to as the Swordish Great Depression. We have broken our promises and failed our people. My only hope is our future generations will be able to forgive us when they look back. I made the decisions that led us here. Do not blame yourself, Mr. President. You'll recall that my predecessor, Mr. Vectone, was far from an economic mastermind. I will correct his mistakes. That is all for our meeting today. Thank you for coming. Well, yep, things are continuing to fall apart. Situation updated. We have a loan, which is not going to be a good situation. Oh, it's an average situation, actually. This has provided some relief. Many citizens are concerned about the implications of accepting external funding and the potential impact on the country's global influence. It's fine. Our government budget is continuing to go down. We will get it in positive and we will pay back that bond. The Mayor of Lenka requests financial aid for the city to slow down the economic crash, which was triggered by the massive decrease in fish exports. Sana. The Mayor of Sana requests financial aid and additional security for Sana. Reported a spike in racial violence and crime in the city. Morbel. Mayor of Morbel requests financial aid for the city to combat the increased emigration. The report that the city will be ghost town in a few years if no measures are taken. The economy of Gruni region, with Valgan at its epicenter, is confronting stagnation, despite earlier forecasts of considerable growth across sectors, including urban development, agriculture, and tourism. So we have problems in our capital. That approach, Friends Richter, the People's Freedom and Justice are making waves in Lakovin. The campaign slogan, Victory for Everyone, covered the city after a campaign visit to the city. The PFJP has been the United Swordlands Party's major opposition since their formation, each year earning a higher percentage of votes. So, scheduled television interview. Swordish Great Depression. NFP welcomed General Luderin's son into their midst today in Ulsord. Seeing a Luderin back in politics is shocking to many citizens. Military coup against former President Weesey. Well, we can see that happening very much. Our latest poll conducted in the heart of Swordland research group reveals a very low level of public approval for the current administration, with made 20% of respondents expressing support. Yeah. Let's tackle the Swordish Great Depression. The current economic climate in Swordland has taken a severe downturn, leading to what is now being referred to as the Swordish Great Depression. Oh, we don't actually get to do anything with that. We just get to promise that we will recover. Okay, in news. Frank Rain, President Rain's eldest son, is reported to be stationed at Swordland's borders with Rumburg. The Rumburg threat has been ongoing for some time now and continues to escalate. Defending our nation is a great honor. Frank Rain is an inspirational role model for young men and boys across the country. Alfonso Foundation expands reach to Anraka and Arcasia. Red Youth and Young Swords clash, we know that. In Raqa's maritime might, nuclear power vessels make waves. An impressive feat of naval engineering, Anraka has unveiled its first nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, accompanied by a submarine aircraft carrier housing 8 planes. Oh, wow. Navy represents a leap forward in Anrakan military power. A submarine aircraft carrier, so I guess it surfaces, opens, launches planes, and then dips away again. It's an interesting one. The makeup crew had just finished their preparations for the interview. Nushin stopped me on my way out to the balcony of the Blue Mansion, where the filming crew was standing ready. Why, don't I look ready? Of course, sir, you look great. The crew is prepared to start filming. Mr. Saka is excited to interview. As I explained before, it would be bad press to decline this offer. They are the most prestigious interview program in the world. And they are from Kairut. Recognized the Republic of Kairut is an island nation located in the heart of Antacean Sea. Consists of 3 main landmasses. Country is known for its neutrality. I don't think there will be too much pressure. I hope so, Lucian. I walked to the balcony and sat on the seat prepared for me directly across from Mr. Saka, who can't click on. Mr. President, welcome to One-on-One. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us. Let us begin with the latest incident between Swordland and Rumburg. An aircraft of the Swordish Air Forces was shot down by Rumburgian anti-aircraft guns a few weeks ago. Officials from the Rumburgian government proclaimed that the aircraft was flying inside the airspace of Rumburg. Your government has been silent, apart from a few statements which claimed that your plane was indeed in Swordish airspace when it was shot down. Do you believe the Rumburgian forces initiated an international attack? I don't want to think that they attacked us intentionally. It must have been a mistake. Does that mean your side is willing to have diplomatic talks with Rumburg? Of course, Rumburg is our neighbour, and we want to have good relations with all of our neighbours. Do you believe Queevlingston shares the same sentiment? We're willing to work together to achieve peace in Eastern Mokopa. This week, both the Arcasian and United Contana governments have condemned the airplane incident. Do you think they would be willing to serve as mediators in case of a broader conflict between your countries? They would surely get involved, but I don't know if it would be as mediators. Look up to the international community to maintain peace in all of Mokopa. You have also earlier claimed that Rumberg has been spying on your administration, and the alleged spy was none other than your own secretary. Rumberg has since denied all your claims. He stared into my eyes, awaiting a response. And? This is a very serious accusation, Mr. President. To elaborate. The scandal following the alleged spy's discovery resulted in Mr. Vectern leaving office. He was blamed, and you appointed a new vice president. Many claim that this was just an international political move designed to replace Mr. Vectern. What do you have to say about those claims? I'm still mourning the loss of Mr. Vectern. I don't appreciate you asking me such a question. He was a friend of mine. I know you were very close, Mr. Rain. My condolences. But I didn't get an answer to my question. Why would I oust my largest supporter, close friend, and backbone of my administration? I'm asking you the question here, Mr. President, but let's move on. He didn't look like he was satisfied by my response. He stopped for a moment and took a brief look at his papers. Let's return to your foreign policy. Let's talk about the ongoing conflict between Haugeland Island. Swordland is not officially taking any sides between Agnolia and Vauxland. So far, you have refrained from making any statements about the conflict. According to reports from yesterday, the Vauxlandian Navy has finally attacked the Agnolian fleet at Haugeland Island. Today, Prime Minister Van Horten confirmed the invasion. He said Vauxlandian troops have landed on the island. So here's my question. What is Swordland's role in all of this, and what will it be going forward? Swordland has no role in this conflict, nor do we plan to have one. Would Swordland also get involved if the situation gets out of control? I hope the situation won't come to that. But what if it does, Mr. President? We'd only get involved as a peacekeeping force. Okay, let's move on to another topic. Last year, a huge conflict took place close to your borders with Welland. When the Westzek forces partook in a massacre of Bludish civilians under the guise of eliminating the Bludish Freedom Front, Swordland decided to stay out of the conflict. In fact, many refugees fleeing from the massacre came to Swordland. Knowing that Swordland also had its troubles with the Bludish independence movement, how did Swordland cope with the influx of Bludish refugees coming in from Welland? Already been relocated to major Swordish cities. Bludish movement has nothing to do with this. They could have been Swords or Wessex as well. First of all, they are human beings. The world has been watching this humanitarian crisis with utmost attention, and I have to give you credit for allowing these people to enter Swordland. Unlike your neighbor Lesbia, Swordland took this responsibility. Do you feel the burden for being the only country who opened their borders to refugees? I deplore Prime Minister Alvarez. Unfortunately, our economy is still in recession. It would be a lie if I said we don't feel the burden. I understand. Can you say with certainty that these refugees can adapt and find a better life in Swordland? Yes, I genuinely believe that. But how about, on the gesture of the director, he stopped before finishing his sentence. Well, it seems that's all the time we have for today. The director shouted at the crew to stop recording. We both stood up and shook hands. Thank you for your valuable time, Mr. President. It was a pleasure. Thank you for coming to Swordland. I hope to interview you again in the future. Lucian walked up to the director and started talking to him. I went inside the building. Ooh. Situations. Organized crime has been contained. Reduction in organized crime activity and has helped contain gangs within their home cities. The police have adopted a proactive approach to tackle organized crime, and they have been successful in arresting and prosecuting key members of criminal organizations. I wonder how this actively affects, I believe it was Estord. Military control, armed militants, organized crime. We still have organized crime. We have many situations. The Republic of Lesbia raises alert level over Ravnos Island. In response to the recent escalation in Haugeland, Prime Minister Patricio Alvarez announces that Lesbia is moving to DEFCON 2. He The announcement indicates a heightened state of readiness and displays Lesbia's concern over the potential for regional conflict spillover. Alvarez emphasized the country's commitment to maintaining national security while expressing hope for a peaceful resolution. Following a brief visit to Lakavan, there have been an outcry against the unpopular president, with violent protests feared to be imminent. The city is deeply unhappy with the president's term, and there have already been some calls for Rain's resignation. Yeah, there's been several of those. Man soon becomes new WPB leader. In a public statement, WPB headquarters announced that Mansoon Lek, Workers' Party of Bludia, was invited back to the party and was elected as the new leader. They stated that WPB will not pull back from the race and will continue with Leek as their presidential candidate. Sana, leader of the Workers' Party of Bludia, was poisoned by a nerve agent and was hospitalized in a serious condition. During his trip to Sana to deliver a speech for his campaign, he suddenly became ill after eating Zapla with a local family. Oh. According to reports from the capital, due to the serious condition of Ajal, the leadership of the Workers' Party of Bludia held an emergency meeting in their party headquarters in Holsor to appoint a new leader as their presidential candidate. Well, we've just seen the results of that. Private meeting with Lilius Graf. Open city information. It's just horrible. We have 11 news reports. Swordland dependent on foreign help. Yep. Protesters occupy the Blue Mansion. Yep. Swordish Great Depression. Yep. Swordish champion against the Rizian Giants. FC Enrica to face Rail Montaklar in Macopian Cup knockouts. New force in politics, People's Front. Yesterday, the leaders of the CPS and WPB came together and announced a coalition named People's Front. Oh, the Communist Party. Swordland reliant on foreign aid. Yep. Form the People's Front. The People's Front of Swordland. Reign administration resorts to MFI loans, neck deep in mud. It has gotten worse, and we are in the pit of an economic depression where people are losing jobs, houses, and lives on a daily basis. Baugland occupies Hausaland. Omek announces expulsion of Rumberg. Following his latest TV interview, President Rain seems to be successful so far in receiving the backing of the international community. Led by Swordland's request, Omek has decided to expel Rumberg from the Eastern Macopan Economic Forum. Okay. Undoubtedly a drastic and surprising resolution, this move will sever the long-strained economic ties of Rumberg with the organization. Queen Beatrice Livingston refrained from making any comments yet. A broad range of topics to help governments foster prosperity and fight poverty throughout economic growth and financial stability. I don't suppose they can come and actually help me as a country, can they? So let's have a private meeting with Lilius Graf. The historic Graf Manor lay on the outskirts of Arvery, at the end of a long, winding drive. Nearly 2 centuries old, it was as formidable as Lilius herself. Lilius had invited me here for a private dinner, just the two of us. I wasn't sure of her motivations, but was happy to have an excuse to escape the chaos back in Holsword. Serge dropped me off. Knock. He used a heavy brass door knocker to signal my arrival. The butler answered and showed me into the parlour. Gas lanterns lent the wood-panelled room a cosy orange glow. Lilius was sitting on the sofa. Above her hung a nearly life-size portrait of a sallow, unhappy-looking young woman in a lace ball gown. Wow. Is that your mother? Lilius nodded. I was her only child, you know. Giving birth to me left her medically unable to conceive. My father never could forgive her for not bearing him a son, and she never forgave me. She took a measured sip of one of the 2 glasses of sparkling wine she was holding and handed me the other. Sounds like a painful childhood. The silver lining is that, despite personally despising me, they felt compelled to grant me all the advantages a son would have had, including the education I needed to rise to my current position. Would you be so kind as to tell me why you invited me over? Given how your wife spends her time these days, I thought you might be in need of a home-cooked supper. The butler silently stepped into the parlour and rang a silver bell. Speaking of which, she led me into the dining room, where a glittering chandelier hung from the high ceiling. Beneath it was a long table set for 2. A woman in an apron and chef's hat. Wessex, by her appearance, ceremoniously presented a roast rack of venison. That is, yes. A home-cooked supper, huh? Please, Mr. Rain, I didn't get where I am now by slaving away in the kitchen. Lilius bowed her head and said a quick prayer, then motioned for me to dig in. It was some of the best meat I'd ever had. We ate in silence for a while, then Lilius pensively laid down her cutlery. Anton, I want you to know that I have nothing but respect for you. Thanks. But given certain developments that have occurred over the course of your term, I believe you are no longer fit to lead the United Swordland Party. I wanted you to be the first to know that I myself would be running against you at the party congress. I suspected that might happen. Of course you did. You aren't stupid. Did you think I'd sit by as you made a mockery out of this country's constitution? The very constitution that is keeping this nation safe from international and external threats. Sorry, internal and external. You're a disgrace to the name of Tarquin Sol. Did you poison my food? My plate took a forkful of meat and ate whilst looking me in the eye. I don't need those kinds of tricks to beat you. I'm doing you a courtesy tonight. I didn't want to surprise you at the Congress, and I wanted to give you the time to consider backing me. Sorry, Lilius, I can't back down now. I'll tender my official resignation once we're both back in Holsword. I rose from my chair. It's a shame to lose you. Likewise. I'll have the butler show you out. She stayed seated as a butler gently led me outside. As Serge and I drove away, I looked in the rearview mirror and saw her silhouette in the doorway. So I was being challenged from within my own party. At least Lilius wouldn't pose much of a threat. Or so I hoped. Bow, bow, bow. So I assume this is potential. Minister of Interior Graf resigns. In a sad turn of event, Interior Minister Lilius Graf handed in a resignation following nearly 4 years in the cabinet. Overcame the barriers posed by her sex to become one of Swordland's most beloved conservative political figures, and few expect her to simply retire. Graf throws in the towel. Victory Avenue, Holsword City Centre, Military Parade. Wow, that is going so badly. It was an unusual day for the residents of Holsword. Regularly used streets and avenues were blocked off by the military personnel. Many shops and cafes were closed, and once crowded stores were now empty. Instead, thousands of residents of Holsword were concentrated on one street, Victory Avenue. Stretching out through the heart of Holsword, people of both sides of the road were waving their Swordish flags proudly for the military parade. I was getting prepared to embark on my trip. It was going to be a short drive down the Victory Avenue until we reached Maroon Palace. My companion for this trip was Iosef, with Serge, as usual, driving the presidential car. Iosef approached me. He was wearing his decorated ceremonial outfit. He carried a sword with a goat head at the handle and his pistol by his hip. He put on his cap. We are almost ready. We will depart right after the tank column. Good. Iosef nodded. After hearing the loud thump of a book falling down to the floor, he turned to a couple of privates that were doing the preparations on the schedule and started walking in their direction. Private, can't you do your job properly? I watched the young soldiers perform a lousy salute to Iosef. What is that salute, soldier? Watch, this is a real salute. He performed an excellent salute, and after scolding the privates, he walked back. Strict as ever. Old habits die hard. Serge appeared from the entrance and joined us. Mr. President. Mr. Lancier. Serge performed a salute to Iosef, which made Iosef smile under his moustache. At ease, Mr. Walkner. Are we ready to depart yet? Yes, sir. Follow me, please. We started following Serge through the corridors. Mr. President, have you seen the tanks? Our planes, too. Rumburg will be so scared when they see this. I sure hope so. I am sure, Mr. President. My kids were very excited to wake up today, you know, to see the planes fly. Serge, where did you do your military service? Mona, 7th Artillery Squadron. I still talk with many of my friends from those days. Camaraderie of military is never forgotten. I'm still in touch with my friends from basic training as well. What about you, sir? Where did you serve? All over Swordland, you know. Mr. President was under my command once. Gumrun Outpost. Do you remember those days? Who can forget about Major Lancier? We called him the Relentless. Good old days. I also remember Mr. President did not like to execute direct orders from his superiors. I did what needed to be done, which was disobeying orders, but I won't delve into the past. We are here, sir. We exited the building and walked over to the clearance where the black Cadillac, the presidential car, was waiting. It was decorated properly for the event, and the top canopy had been removed so that I could stand and wave to people. On the way to the car, generals and admirals were lined up on both sides of the carpet. The atmosphere immediately changed when these experienced men who fought many times for their country saluted me. I saluted back with respect. I entered the car and Serge started the engine. Iosef saluted me. We were on our way shortly. Good luck, Mr. President. The car started rolling. Even though there were many walls and trees in between the car and the crowd, I was able to hear the deafening sounds of cheering Swordish citizens. Gradually, we made our way to the starting point. A couple of old propeller planes flew above our heads, and I thought whether the planes were older than me. Loud footsteps of the marching soldiers were followed by loud noises coming from the tank engines. The tanks came into my view. They were not the most modern models, however, they displayed our military might. I couldn't even finish my thought, and one of the tanks broke down and had to be towed. We waited for a few minutes for the announcement. Finally, it was our turn. On both sides of the Victory Avenue, there were numerous citizens cheering my name, waving their Swordish flags. Wave. Looking at the benches where the General Staff was sitting at, I saw Tarquin Sol sitting next to General Velkin. From this distance it was hard to tell, but he tipped his hat off to me, and I could swear that he was smiling. We kept our slow and steady pace. We were almost at the Arthur S. Wisi statue, several hundred meters away. A group of soldiers saluted me as we passed by. They did not even have matching guns. The convoy continued. As I looked around and saw that there was a military truck parked next to the statue in the distance. Is that truck part of the parade? I think so, Mr. President, although I'm not sure why it's parked. The truck was standing in the middle of the road, blocking the parade a few dozen meters in front of us. What is going on? Do you see the truck? I don't know, sir. Something's wrong. His jaw was clenched and he was intently watching. Serge then picked up the radio. There seems to be a truck on the way. This is part of the 3 men who jumped out of the truck started running towards our car. They were holding KA-74s pointed right at us. Get down, they are gonna shoot. Serge reversed the car at full speed and ducked. Duck down. They started firing and my ears started ringing. I could hear the bullets impacting the car as we reversed and hit a roadblock behind us. There was a complete silence followed by screams from the crowd. There was a muffled sound from the front seat. What just happened? A brief gunfight ensued outside as police and soldiers rushed over to secure the vehicle. Sir, are you alright? I'm fine. Are you injured? He patted himself down. No injuries, sir. Thank God. Emergency medical teams arrived and started examining me and Serge. After confirming that we had no injuries, I stood up and took a look around. The car was dotted with bullet holes and the bodies of dead gunmen were in front of it. It was a miracle that no one died. Attention all citizens in the greater Holsword region. After the assassination attempt on President Rain today, the great city of Holsword and all nearby cities are now under an immediate lockdown. Temporary security measures will be taken while the investigations are underway. 3 shot trying to kill Rain. 3 assassins have been killed today after an attempt on President Rain's life. During the much-anticipated military parade, attackers were seen jumping out of a military truck with KA-74s as the president's car was passing by. In the middle of thousands of innocent people, they aimed at the president. A citywide search has begun to find the connections of the assailants as the Holsword police is at high alert. Attempt to murder Rain fails. President Rain's life has been threatened today during the military parade. 3 men with rifles jumped out of a truck and started shooting at the president's car. Thankfully, the attempt has failed. Who is behind the assassination attempt? Rain is the democratically elected head of our country. An attack on him means an attack on democracy and Swordland. Yeah, I have an idea. House of Lancia reported that military personnel who were involved with the parade's organization and security checks has been put under custody until further notice. With judiciary approval, Ministry of Interior has opened an investigation into the recent assassination attempt. Police forces and private detectives have been deployed. Higher security measures have been put in place to avoid any future attempt. So, with our economy crashing, our city in full-blown riot mode, and our government budget at a -12, let's press continue. Will of the state. That will, I think, is to, well, as we've just gone and seen, try and shoot me. Schedule for the Alliance of Nations sessions. We have received the schedule for the upcoming Alliance of Nations sessions. According to the dates outlined, Swordland 1 is being prepared for the flight to Constantium. Karut. Ministry of Foreign Affairs David Weesey will be attending the session as well as accompanying Mr. President on the flight. An international entity formed in response to the extensive upheavals of the century of revolutions. Conceived to enhance global cooperation, uphold international order, and cultivate peaceful interaction. Oh. I don't express solidarity following assassination attempt. In the wake of the harrowing assassination attempt on President Rain, Agnolia's Prime Minister has sent his heartfelt condolences. The Prime Minister conveyed his deep concern and expressed solidarity with Swordland in these trying times. His citizens remain vigilant, stressing the importance of maintaining peace and stability in the region. Over in Amrika, we have Makopan Champions Cup. We have one piece of news: world leaders to gather at Alliance of Nations. Let's finish on a high note of the Champions Cup. Today, the management of FC Amrika had invited me to attend a pivotal football match. At Lucian's urging, I accepted. The team was representing Swordland in the international arena. According to Lucian, it would have been unpresidential not to put in an appearance. FC Amrika was finally in the Makopan Champions Cup, the most prestigious football tournament in the world. For the first time ever, a Swordish team had managed to qualify for the knockout phase. Millions of Swordish people were waiting to watch FC Amrika compete against the legendary Rizian team Real Montacla. Despite all odds being stacked against the team, the mood was full of hope. A win today would bring Amrika to the quarterfinals, a feat that no Swordish team had ever managed to achieve. And of course, all presidents of Swordland, current and former, were invited to watch the historic competition. I was told that both Tarquin Sol and Edwald Alfonso would be joining me in the lounge reserved for us. How are you feeling, sir? I'm just a little worried. Don't fret, sir. Today is a day to relax, perhaps even celebrate. We made our way towards the Maroon Stadium. The arena was situated in one of the most crowded quarters of Amrika, surrounded by dense urban development. As we wound our way through the streets, I noticed the name of Tarquin Sol everywhere. Since I'd last been here, markets, restaurants, and even pubs named after the Colonel had all popped up. About Sol all of a sudden. I noticed it as well. I've heard it is part of an ad campaign for Amrika. An attempt to draw tourists, or at least Solist ones, to the city. Sol's legacy still lives on for millions after all. Lucian's pocket radio crackled. After responding, he turned to me. So the security has gave us the clear and informed us that Tarquin Sol has already arrived at the lounge. Good luck, I know he's quite the imposing presence. Please follow the guards to the top floor. You will be seated in the VIP lounge. Any advice before I leave? You know the guests of honor more than I do, sir. If all else fails, just focus on the match. It shouldn't be difficult. Even just the fact that you are here will surely help our campaign image. I hope so, Lucian. I followed the security. We entered beneath the giant sign that read "Welcome to the Hall of Martyrs." The corridors inside were painted almost completely in maroon, adorning them with various depictions of the Swordish goat and numerous jerseys, awards, and team photographs. On our way up, I was greeted by the president of the club. Beaming with pride, he immediately shook my hand. Behind him, Mayor Curtin Lest and Gus Mango were waiting to greet me as well. All of them had FC Amrika pins attached to their collars. Welcome to Amrika, Mr. President. You are always welcome in Amrika, and it is great to see you show support in person. Thanks for being here. This match means a lot to all of us Amrikans. And all of Swordland. Never before has a Swordish team reached this stage in the Makopan Cup. It is great to be... I have high hopes for today. This is a big achievement for Swordish football. Football is of rapidly expanding importance in Swordland and beyond. It's good that we see the opportunity in it. The president of the club walked in, handed us gift bags full of FC Amrika merchandise, and gave a speech stressing the importance of today's match. After delivering his best wishes, he kindly pointed us towards the lounge, which was surrounded by heavily armed men. Once I finally found myself inside, I was greeted by an amazing view of the entire pitch through floor-to-ceiling windows. Tarquin Sol was already seated on the leather sofa, casting his hawk-like gaze out onto the field. He did not react when I entered. What we owe this pleasure, Colonel? Tarquin Sol leaned on his cane and turned his head to look at me. Mr. Rain, I didn't hear you come in. He smiled at me and gestured at the vacant spot beside him. Please, join me. I approached the sofa and sat next to him. I didn't expect you to show up today. It is heartening to see that you're a supporter of FC Amrika and Swordish sports. I could say the same for you, Mr. Sol. The corner of his mouth curled up mirthlessly. Tell me, is everything faring well after the defeat of your reforms, Mr. Rain? That's nothing for you to worry about, Mr. Sol. I will decide what I worry about, Mr. Rain, he sighed. Despite all the warning signs, you adamantly followed your own pig-headed vision for Swordland. You continued on the path that Edward Alfonso started, obliterating our economy and throwing the nation into a quagmire of poverty and depression. Furthermore, you chose to defund our national defense in a time when Eastern Morcopa is waiting to explode in our faces. I am warning you, Anton, the path you've chosen will only bring about death and misery. But I'm done with the warmongering and paranoia. Be careful, Mr. Rain, you are pulling all of Eastern Morcopa into a bloody conflict with Rumburg. Don't get me wrong, I may have reacted the same way in your stead, but I would have made sure the Swordish military was well and ready for such a fight. I truly hope you are ready for what's coming for all of our sakes. I must say your lack of faith in Swordland is disturbing. I have nothing but faith in this country and its fine military, but both are nothing without a strong leader to guide them. I rebuilt this republic with my own sweat and blood. I will not see it collapse again. And I will never let that happen. At least you have the spirit. If we go to war, would you consider offering your guidance? You are taking a risk going over the head of General Kruger, son. If and when that fateful day comes, I will not stand idly by and watch my country fall, I will tell you that much. A sudden burst of cheering from the stadium made both of us look out the window. The players had begun walking out onto the field. Look, Mr. Rain, it started. He pointed directly at the group of FC Enrica fans who stood up holding coloured boards, creating a massive illustration of Tarquin's soul. Under the portrait, the bottom row of boards slowly revealed the words, "Welcome home, Colonel." Keep watching. As if plastering my name everywhere in this city wasn't enough, I suppose I'm flattered. Another group of fans raised their boards to reveal a silhouette of the famous Hall of Warriors, a Marcian-era architectural ruin in Enrica with Tarquin's soul in front of it. As the players of Real Montacla lined up in the middle of the field, FC Enrica fans started chanting, "We'll eat you whole for Colonel Soul." Right after the referee signaled the start of the match, the door behind us closed with a thud. Well, Colonel, how do you feel about being Enrica's new poster boy? It looks like it's working well for the city, and if you moved back home, I'm sure you'd get free meals and drinks everywhere you went. Ewald Alfonso quickly walked up to the sofa, shook our hands, and sat next to us, smiling as he did so. Ha! You know, I never had a strong connection to this place, Mr. Lest. You should have asked my permission before using my name to market his city. Oh, it was actually Gus Manga's idea. Why am I not surprised? He's full of ideas. You're Mr. Manga, except when it comes to the job he's actually supposed to be doing. No need to be so dismissive. Gus has proven himself time and again. His work rejuvenated Swordish industries, and without him, Enrica wouldn't be the city it is today. What did Gus do for Enrica? He invested heavily in this city and helped transform Enrica into a tourist destination, and he's the one who saw the potential in football. All of the man's so-called accomplishments have been purely accidental. You say that, Mr. Soul, but Mr. Manga is a respectable professional who actually loves his country. More like an errand boy doing the bidding of those who line his pockets. I don't intend to take on the role of his personal spokesman, you know? Just then, FC Enrica's star midfielder made a breakaway down the field. The crowd erupted into cheers as the ball was passed from player to player, each touch bringing it closer to the goals. Look, we're going to score. Too predictable, they won't make it past the other team's defense. As if on cue, Real Montacla's defense made a crucial block, sending the ball back down the field. Should be a football coach, Colonel. Don't make me laugh. Alfonso turned to me. How about you, Mr. Rain? It's been a while since we last met. Is everything going well at the palace? That's reassuring signs of instability again. Yes, Mr. Rain, Swordish politics is getting complicated again. You have to be careful. Take on the responsibility for once, Mr. Rain. You've had the authority for 4 years. Suddenly, a huge roar shook the stadium. The crowd was in a frenzy as FC Enrica finally got the ball past the dominating Rizian defenders. Considering that Rumburg is actively pushing for war, you seem too composed and calm, Mr. Rain. You will see that we are capable of. Just then, Montacla midfielders executed an incredibly fast counterattack, scoring a goal that put them ahead in just a few seconds. The Swordish side of the stadium fell completely silent. It was bad luck getting a top-tier Rizian team as our opponent. I still applaud our guys for giving their best. Not even FC Galsword has ever come this far in an international tournament. Why so bleak? It's not even half time yet. Don't expect that to make sense for him. You are talking to Airworld Alfonso. I'll be a punching bag for both of you today. The only noise that could be heard from the stadium was shouting from the Rizian side, Montaklar. All eyes were glued to the scoreboard as the new score appeared. From that moment on, we turned our complete attention to the match in front of us. The Rizian players kept dominating the field. The referee blew the whistle. It was half time. That was rough. We had a noise from above us. A Zeppelin was flying over the stadium with a giant poster hanging beneath it. I noticed that it was an advertisement for Alfonso Foundation. At the center of the poster stood Airworld Alfonso, portrayed with a warm smile and a twinkle in his eye. In his outstretched hand, he held a whimsical compass, glowing with a soft golden light. Surrounding him were people from all walks of life and cultures. The tagline, written in elegant and uplifting typography, was prominently displayed at the bottom. Alfonso Foundation, bringing hope to those in need, one act of kindness at a time. Don't comment. Just then, the speakers in the stadium started playing a sound recording in full volume. Ladies and gentlemen, we bring you a message from the Alfonso Foundation, dedicated to spreading kindness and hope to the less fortunate. Picture a Swordsland where compassion shines brighter than the stars in the night sky, where the power of generosity uplifts those who need it. That Swordsland can exist thanks to the Alfonso Foundation. Led by the charismatic and esteemed President Airworld Alfonso, this foundation is on a mission to make a difference in the lives of our fellow citizens, one act of kindness at a time. You call this kindness. Every Swordfish Wren you donate to the Alfonso Foundation helps us provide shelter, food, and a chance for a brighter future to those without a home, without hope. Thanks to the donations of President Airworld Alfonso and esteemed figures like President Anton Rain, as well as thousands of Swordfish citizens, the Alfonso Foundation has already lifted thousands out of homelessness. You too, Mr. Rain, I thought you would see through this scheme. Won't you join us in this noble endeavor? Just call the number 01600 Alfonso to make your contribution today. Your support will help us extend a helping hand to those in need. The recording ended with a few seconds of upbeat, jazzy background music that slowly faded out. But you didn't need to put my name in there. It helps us with donations. Instead of planning a proper affordable housing program, you are spending your time with crap like this. Is this your way of personal redemption, spending a few Wrens out of your billions and portraying yourself as their savior? Unlike you, Mr. Sol, I'm not portraying myself as a hero here. I retired from politics just like you did, and I'm now using my clout to help the poor. What's so wrong about this? You know, I never called myself a hero. Airworld, it was my supporters who portrayed me as one. Don't spin the truth. Maybe they didn't have any other choice back then. Everything we can't deny the millions of people who loved and respect Mr. Sol. That is the reality. Are you really denying that you did nothing to construct a cult of personality? I didn't need to build a cult for myself, Mr. Rain. I built a republic. You rebuilt it in your own vision. Are you still sore about the party giving you a hard time after I left? Admit it, Airworld, you never could accept being a less popular leader. You hated living under the shadow of what I built. It is true, I did hate working inside your shadow empire, but I succeeded in dismantling a lot of those obstacles you laid out for me, and opened the way for reforms, but you never let the party go free. So it was I who controlled each and every member. If I was behind every problem you faced within the USP, do you really believe that? You are the founder of the party, Mr. Sol. Don't even try to deny your influence over them. I still remember how the party became divided after you stopped supporting me. It is on them for being blind to the progress we were making. Sol still make up the bulk of the USP today. Everybody is aware of your influence, Mr. Sol. Instead of blaming the party, why didn't you take a look at yourselves? That same party has voted me out on their own volition in preference of the likes of you. According to you, their only correct decision must have been to elect you as leader, and the rest are completely wrong. You think everything is a problem that is specifically created to block you. Take a look at yourself. You are the personification of what you are trying to criticize. Party and the government were in that state due to your actions over 20 years ago. We know that you're still trying to pull the strings behind the scenes, Mr. Sol. Now you just sound paranoid. Suddenly we turned our heads to the field as a massive roar shook the stadium. The second half was already in full swing, and American players were aggressively attacking, weaving in and out of defenders with speed. Suddenly the ball was passed to the famous Swordfish striker, Hakon Zlata, who was in front of the goal. I noticed Sol shifting in his seat, his gaze suddenly locked on the field. The Swordfish crowd went crazy as Zlata's powerful shot brought the ball to the back of the Rizian net. Yes! Airworld jumped from his seat. Suddenly the cheering was interrupted by the linesman raising the flag, making an offside call. That wasn't an offside. Do not comment. Halt your endless bickering, the linesman made the right call. The angle was all wrong. The decision like that shouldn't be made without proper evaluation. You're going to install cameras and analyze every position from different angles. The excitement in the stadium reached a fever pitch as the Swordfish striker dribbled the ball past two defenders and took a shot at the goal again. The crowd held its breath as the ball sailed through the air, but the Montacle goalkeeper made a miraculous save. He suddenly pointed to a group of people who were holding signs in the front row. Do you see that? It was a group of Rizians who were holding signs in the Swordfish language. No to war in Makopa, peace between Rumburg and Swordland. Looks like Rizians are also scared of a possible war between us and Rumburg. The Taurus family is a puppet of Queen Livingston. If the Queen wants war, Rizians will follow them. Well, they're right. Nobody wants a war with Rumburg. Suddenly a wave of shouting made us focus back on the field, and an Enrican player was shown a yellow card. With only a few minutes left on the clock, it looked as though the match would end with a 1-0 loss for Enrica. But suddenly everything changed. Number 10 of Real Montacle dribbled expertly towards the goal and effortlessly scored as Enrican defenders watched him in shock. We watched in silence as the scoreboard was modified to display. The Rizian side broke into massive applause as the referee blew the final whistle. That settles it. We should go down and console the boys. We left our lounge and went downstairs to congratulate the team for their efforts. And well, I'm not gonna lie, ladies and gentlemen, that took a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. I thought I'd have another quick little thing of watching a football game. That took about 20 minutes. So we have gone very much over time. Unfortunately, heartbreak as FC Enrica as Real Montacle secures a dominant 2-0 victory in Makopan Cup knockout. If we had gone and managed to win that, that may have given the country a boost and a little bit of hope. And multiple-point distraction. The Republic of Karut, right, that is going to be the International Committee. And so we will do that when we come back next time, ladies and gentlemen. And so for now, that is all we have time for. And so until we see you again, as per always, I hope that you will stay safe, happy, and healthy.